Summer's just about here, or is here, or just passed, depending on when you're actually watching this. But there's one thing that means summer's here in the U.S. No, not slip and slides anymore. Beaches! Every year, 59 million Americans go to the beach. And likely they'll get sunburned and won't take off their shirts, because we're all out of shape. Going to the beach is a big deal for those of us who are lucky enough to live near one. But some beaches are better than others. One beach might look like this, and another one looks like this. Now we could spend 12 minutes talking about the best beaches in the country, but you guys are weird and mean and you don't want to know about that. You want to see where the bad things are in this world. Don't worry, I got you covered. So bust out the sunscreen and make sure to bring some extra change for the parking meter. We're gonna tour the absolute crummiest beach towns in America. Up where they walk, up where they run, up where they stay all day in the sun. Wandering free, don't wanna be part of this world. Okay, let's stop the annoying singing. So in order to rank the worst beaches in this country, we need to have some measuring sticks, right? I think a fair way to rank the worst beach towns would be the following statistics: crime, crowds, pollution, things to do, and your opinion. I think we'd all agree that the dirtiest, most crowded, most dangerous beach towns that people have bad things to say about are a fair way to measure them. Let's get started. Our 10th worst beach town in the country is Panama City, Florida. If you live in Florida, you might be thinking, there's a ton of other worst beach towns in Panama City. To that I'll say, don't worry, this isn't the only Florida beach town we're going to talk about. Panama City is located here, on the Gulf side of Florida in the state's Panhandle. What makes Panama City so shitty? Lots of stuff. Of the 192 total beach towns we looked at, Panama City ranks low for both safety and local economy. This beach town of 36,000 people gets an F for crime, where residents have about a 1 in 16 chance of being the victim every year. It's also a relatively poorer place with a high unemployment rate and bad schools. But if you're going for a beach vacation, you don't really care about that. But you do care about this. Hurricane Michael blew through the area in 2018 and parts of town still haven't recovered. That's not really their fault, but it's the reality of the situation. Now what does all this mean for you, the beach goer? Well, that's where we turn to the locals. This guy says residents here are very Walmart-ish. That's not very nice. And folks say the mosquitoes and no-see-ums are terrible all day long on this beach. Don't know what a no-see-um is? They're right there. See them? But as everybody who lives here seems to agree, that's the Florida Panhandle for you. You get what you get. Our next worst beach town is Wildwood, New Jersey. This is where tourist dreams go to die, at the very tip of the Jersey Shore. And no, this isn't where they filmed Jersey Shore, but you get the idea. If you love roller coasters and carny games, you might like it here, for about an hour until the novelty wears off. It's crowded, crazy, rowdy, loud, and dangerous. Like the most dangerous place in the state, dangerous. Just like Panama City, you have about a 1 in 16 chance of being the victim of a crime if you live here. So that means you better lock up your stuff. The beach is huge, but so are the crowds. Actually, is this beach too big? You don't visit this mobbed city for the beach, though. You go to spend money losing on games. And talk about yuck. Feces-related bacteria? Gross. This New Jerseyite says, I was taken aback by Wildwood, in particular its main retail strip. Complete desertion. Just a few Spanish-oriented fast food takeout spots that were empty. Looked overrun with poverty. So it doesn't sound like anywhere you would want to visit anytime soon, I bet. Bye, New Jersey. We'll be back again. We're going way out to the West Coast now as we come to Venice, California. If you haven't been to Venice, it's not really very enjoyable. It might be the most overrated beach community in the nation, actually. It's really expensive, so you have all these teeny homes squished together, which cost a lot. The cheapest home you can find on the map is like $1.6 million. And look at all the homes for sale. I mean, if everyone's moving, it can't be that great, can it? Oh, it's far from fancy here, though. The homeless are everywhere. There's drugs everywhere, and trash, and attitude, and the beaches are filled with cigarette butts and bottle caps, and needles. One resident is sick of Venice and is planning to leave, likely to Arizona or Texas or Nevada, where all the California refugees are fleeing to. He says to prevent his tires from being slashed, he has to use a jerry-rigged plywood and chain contraption. What the? Can you imagine? Every time he takes his family out of town, he worries about his house being robbed. It's not a very fun way to live, he says. You think? That doesn't sound very fun at all, guy. Venice is a place where rich, to-do Hollywood types buy up homes and then ignore the problems in town. In fact, some have discussed driving the homeless out of Venice completely, and that is not very nice of you. We could practically bodyboard or skateboard or boogie board or surfboard all the way to our next worst beach town. That's because it's right next door in Santa Monica. Talk about a homeless issue. The homeless and drug addicts flock to the promenade like seagulls flock to a kid with a box of Cheez-Its. It's crowded, it's expensive, people are snobby or rude or both. It's touristy, it's overdeveloped. The pier's a disaster. The water got a D, which means you can't even go into the water here. If you're into Ferris wheels and roller coasters and can walk here, it's not that bad. But this once charming community, which used to be sleepy and used to have character and romance, where Jack Tripper famously fell off his bike, is no longer that same place. Fact is, if you want to experience a good beach town, you could find a far more quiet, clean, and enjoyable beach town than Santa Monica. Back to Florida we go as we visit another beach town on the Gulf, Holiday. It's kind of near Tampa. Holiday isn't really somewhere you go on a holiday though. Despite being on the coast, there's no beach, at least not much of one. This little divey beach sits at a marina. Doesn't look very appealing. But what makes things even worse here are the rankings. Holiday ranked almost last in 4 categories: safety, local economy, health and education, and quality of life. Holiday has the 4th least number of restaurants too. What's a beach town without restaurants? Locals weren't too kind when asked for their opinions on one travel website. One says, prices here are cheap for a reason. It's mostly a dump. Another says, not a good place to live. Not close to too much except abandoned homes, half-empty strip malls, and meth labs. Okay, that's not very nice. Holiday's in Pasco County, one of Florida's most infamous trashy zones. So infamously trashy that there's Facebook pages devoted specifically to poking fun of, or mocking, Pasco County. Anyways, if you like Section 8 housing, go to Holiday.
These beaches aren't so bad. Remember, there are many Americans who have never even seen the ocean before.
Huh, you're right about that, Mappy. I bet there's a bunch of people in the middle of the country who would love to visit any of these places. I mean, a beach is a beach, right, Mappy? Let's see, can I find a number of Americans who have never visited the ocean? I cannot. But I did find this article which said that a poll of people in Ohio showed that between 10 and 20% of Ohio adults had never seen the ocean before. And even in San Diego, a very fine beach community, 10% of school kids said they had never visited an ocean, and they live there. Okay, so that adds perspective. Thanks, Mappy. Maybe beach towns aren't so bad for people who have never been to one at all. Anyways, let's get back to the negative stuff. Ever heard of Shirley, New York? Probably not, for a reason. There's nothing to do here. If you Google Shirley NY Fun, you get a closed library and Shirley Beach, which has goose poop on it. Surely has something to do, right? I mean, it's located on Long Island, halfway down to the Hamptons. And despite having nothing to do, Shirley has like the 3rd highest property taxes of all beach towns we measured. Maybe that's one reason Little Shirley has the highest foreclosure rate of all beach towns we measured. Homes for sale, anyone? Wow, looks like the whole place is for sale. And for prices that look very reasonable. Must be a bargain for a reason. I mean, if you can buy a beachfront home for anywhere under $300,000, you should probably jump on it. Unless it's in Shirley. Galveston, oh Galveston. Our next stop brings us to the southeastern tip of a very fine state, the little island community of Galveston. It's not too far from Houston, so you can imagine the type of people who flock here. Now, sometimes swim at your own risk means rip currents or sharks or no lifeguard on duty. Nuh-uh. In Galveston, it means you might die. No, that's hyperbole, but seriously, many of Galveston's beaches have dangerous levels of pollution, as in quote-unquote sanitary overflow. The weather here sucks, as in more humid than you've ever experienced. They say Houston couldn't exist without air conditioning. In Galveston, it's really expensive to buy a home, the crime is awful, and the only places you can afford are places you don't want to live in. You know what, let's do a random Zoom call with somebody in Galveston and see what they think about it there. Zoom, 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 zoom. Oh, hey there. Ooh, cutie. So you live in Galveston, huh? What do you think of it? Is it bad? I think you're muted. I think your audio isn't on. No? No, what's no mean? Okay, so that didn't really work. We'll have to try that again. I don't know what's going on there. Our next stop is a place you may not have heard of. It's Essex, Maryland. People in Baltimore are like, oh yeah, I got homies in Essex. That's hood. It's a hood on the beach, actually. This not so charming beach community is a real dump, folks. Located along the Chesapeake Bay, a little ways from Baltimore, Essex ranks second from last on our quality of life rank, which takes into account things to do. So there's hardly anything beachy here, no ice cream shops or restaurants or tacky beach stores. And Essex ranks second from last on our economy ranking, which factors in employment growth and how many people have crummy credit. What do locals say? Nothing good, sadly. Not gonna lie, dude, one person says. You should probably expect rundown neighborhoods, crime, robberies, drugs, and murder. God, that guy didn't hold back at all, did he? Let's get another opinion. Same thing. Really. Gangs, garbage, filth, shootings, other bad words I can't say on this channel. And there actually are 2 towns worse than Essex? Well, clearly, since that was only number 3. Our second worst beach town in the country is Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. What? Sorry, South Carolina peeps, but you know it's true. Myrtle Beach was once a gem of a beach town. People flocked here from all over the place to play putt-putt and ride the rides and soak in the sun and get their drink on. But my, how things have changed, and it's getting worse fast. Over the last decade, Myrtle Beach rose to the top as South Carolina's most dangerous city. Back then, it was mostly property crimes related to tourism, which doesn't make it a terrible place, but it still sucked. But now it's way beyond that. It's shootings and robberies and beatings, thugs roaming the boardwalks. High school and college kids used to come here during spring breaks and on random summer weekends. Now they've taken the place over. Myrtle Beach is tied for the highest violent crime rate of all beach towns in the country. Go to Charleston if you want a classy South Carolina beach experience, people. And where's our worst beach town in our fine nation? Atlantic City is. Atlantic City, ooh, you are so shitty. If you go there, you'll know where it's so bad and gritty. The Wall Street Journal called this America's worst rated town once. Its casinos are shutting down and the city faces bankruptcy all the time. Crime-wise, it ain't pretty. Murder rates are nearly 4 times the national average. Violent crimes are more than twice the national average. There's druggies, bums, and illegal stuff going on all over the place. It's casinos and tourist traps one block, and then slums on the next block. People looking for a thrill here will literally get off the expressway, look around, and then get right back on it. What about the beaches? Does it matter? If you must know, the city's beaches are eroding and face being washed away completely one day. This, my friend, is the worst of the worst when it comes to beach living, if you can even call it that. Okay, so that's it. Our worst beach towns in the nation. These are the places with the most crime, worst actual beaches, and where communities are struggling. If you're looking to move to the coast, these places should be avoided. And if you're trying to find an affordable place for vacation, like a quiet spot where you can peacefully stick your toes in the sand, well, keep dragging that beach wagon on down the coast, 'cause these aren't it, pal. Catch the biggest waves, but what's the point? We'd rather stay in. How can you talk to chicks from way out there? We wear protection on our heads. We know surfers that are now dead. We don't have to go deep to have fun. To have fun! Shallow water bodyboarding. You can do it till you're 40. There's no sharks coming right toward me. On the beach, we are the minority. Keyboard! Shallow water bodyboarding. You can do it till you're 40. So that means I can still do it. Barely. Now let's do something nice. If you're looking to get involved and help clean up the beaches or volunteer, I put some links in the description for websites where you can go to and find out how you can help. Sadly, there's trash on just about every beach in the country, and there's turtles who could use a babysitter. Or a baby turtle sitter, I guess. Anyways, get involved if you live near the coast. That's all. Hey guys, if you learned something new or you just like this video, make sure to like it. And if you really like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get all of our videos about what it's like to live in different places in America. Peace.